Right, today we're talking about how to create an NFT collectors group, and so I wanted to get a pulse check. Who of you is already in an NFT collectors group? Okay, quite a few. Who's here thinking of building one themselves? A few? Okay, cool. So I got into NFT collecting, basically I'm in a few groups. My favorite one is Proof. I think that's also the most well-known one of all of my groups, and that's why I'm going to talk today about some things that Proof has done really well, and I think that everybody can learn from that. At least I have learned a lot from. So first of all, I think the first thing is, why would you want to create a collectors group? And there's many reasons why it's great to form a group, really, or join a group. One, it's, be part of a community of like-minded people. Not all of us, are around NFT enthusiasts every day. Number two is to find out about cool new projects. That's actually, for me, one of the most important things. Because in NFTs, there's so much bullshit, right? So to have a group that helps me cut through the noise, find cool artists and cool projects early is crazy valuable, because I don't have time to be hundreds of hours a week in Discord and find out, and do all of the looking myself. Then, especially with Proof, you have a lot of chances to get whitelisted, and as you all know, all of the hot projects is almost impossible to get in whitelists. So I think for me that's a major benefit in most of the collectors group I join, that I get automatically whitelisted for some cool things. Then discuss investment opportunities is a big plus for me, that I see what are others buying. So for example, in Proof, there's a channel just purchased, and people share what they just purchased, and it's really interesting. And alone through that channel, I sometimes find out about cool things that I would never heard about before. Or you see some very gimmicky meme-like projects that have wild popularity for whatever reason, that are interesting to find out about. And then meet artists. So I think I will come to this later, but we have artists as part of the community in Proof, and it's so valuable to not just have the collectors in there, but also the artist's point of view on certain projects. Many artists also bring in their fellow artist friends, and that's also how we often get whitelisted for things, because the artists obviously are way more ingrained in all of this, and they are the ones often who find out about up-and-coming artists much before anyone else, because they all know each other. Okay, what is Proof Collective? Has anyone, does anybody know what Proof is? Not everybody. So Proof was actually founded only in November last year. So it is a very young project, and it went from 1.5 ETH, that's how much it costs at the mint, to, I think currently it's around somewhere like 80 ETH. It used to be even at 150 when the market was still good. So it's an incredibly valuable NFT. But to me, I wouldn't sell it even for like $1 million or $2 million, just because this community, this NFT gives me so much value, like literally value in the millions, that I don't think I will ever sell this NFT, basically. It's just so much value other than just what the NFT is worth. And that's why I've become a huge fan of utility NFTs in general. So an NFT that is basically just your access pass to get so much other benefits and be part of something much bigger than just the NFT itself. Proof was founded by a super well-known tech guy called Kevin Rose. Kevin Rose has been in the tech industry for several, at least 2 decades. He's also, he was a Google venture, so he's been well known for a long time, and he runs 2 podcasts in this space. One is called Modern Finance, and one is called Proof. And Proof is a podcast just about NFTs, has about 100,000 subscribers. So Kevin basically was pretty deep into NFTs before he even started this. But nobody could have foreseen it would be so successful. But I think he was basically uniquely positioned also to start something like this, because he already knew a lot of the artists and could therefore bring a lot of the right people together in a project like that. And now Proof, I think you could say, together with Flamingo DAO, Proof has become one of the most famous collectors group that is at least, not focused on any specific area. We're collecting everything, although no music NFTs really yet. But everything, PFPs, generative art, anything that comes up really and that we're interested in. Yeah, that it has been a wild journey. It's just 1,000 people in the collective, which is also interesting and a learning for me, because 1,000 people is actually a really good group, because you can get, the Discord isn't too crazy. You can still follow everything, but yeah, and you get a lot of good input without it being too noisy. So I think I really like that it's just 1,000 people in there. Yeah. So, and now comes some learnings from the Proof Collective. So I said it's a project that's gone really wild, it's very young, and what have they done right to get it to that point? Number one, I think they were very smart in deciding on a purpose for the community and then really executing on this purpose. So for Proof, it's a couple of NFT lovers that want to find out about good stuff and be in the company of other NFT lovers, right? So why should you, it's very clear the purpose of the community, the value it brings, and what we're talking about. And I think some of the communities I see where this is less defined, why should people join this community? What do they get out of it? These communities are less good. So I think, really to decide what is this collective for is the number one, and that will already help you get a very, very good and active community. And that also helps to build a strategy later down the line. The number two, as I already said, we actually have a lot of artists as part of the group. And before Kevin launched the NFT, he actually made sure to hold, I think he held 50 back to give to artists later down the line. I don't think he thought the NFT would become so valuable himself, but I think he did know, there's always new artists that come into the space, and he wanted to have some to bring them in and be part of the community. And what is also cool, the artists aren't just part there, they're really participating. So quite often they comment on new projects. When we discuss a certain new NFT project, the artists actually give their opinions, and they say, oh, for example, from an artistic point of view, they think this or that, or they've known the artist for a long time. Often they also bring things to our attention that we wouldn't have otherwise heard about. So that's why I think if you are thinking of doing something like that or joining a group, make sure that there are actually artists of the group, because that will really enrich the discussion. Then number three, I think nowadays almost everybody is doing this, but Proof gated the community, and they were one of the first to do it. If any Bored Apes are in the room, the Bored Ape community is not gated. And boy, it's so busy in there. It's very hard to get any value out of the Bored Ape Discord, for me at least. But since Proof is token gated, there's just 1,000 people in there. And so it's very easy to follow. There's no spam at all, actually, ever. And only good stuff. So I think a good community should be NFT gated or token gated, just to improve the quality of the discussion. Then number four, this is a super important one, especially in light of what just happened with Azuki, is communication and the team. So Proof were actually the first, or one of the very first NFT projects where it was known who the people behind the project are in real life. So they are there with their real names. They don't have, they also have PFPs as their profile pictures, but everybody knows who they are. Everybody knows how they look like in real life. And it gave and still gives a lot of trust to the project. And for example, now when the market crashed a few weeks ago, it is actually, to me, amazing how well Proof has done. So both the Proof and all of the other NFTs like Moonbirds is part of Proof as well have crashed very little. I think they have lost less than 20% or so. So they're holding up incredibly well. And I think part of why they're holding up so well is because people really believe in the founders and in the team and in their ability to execute on the roadmap that they have put forward. And that's why people don't sell these NFTs as much as they would sell anything else that they hold. What I also really like, the team is incredibly transparent around their communication. And I feel for example, if you compare it with other big projects such as Yuga Labs, it could not be a more starker contrast. Like with Yuga Labs, there's often hardly any communication at all. You hear about how things going to work a day before, or for example, with Oddities, they even just announced things on the day, so people did not know how it would work. With Proof, it's the opposite. So for example, before the Moonbird launch, they actually had many options how to go about the launch of Moonbirds, and they actually asked us very transparently, do you think we should do it this way or that way? What price should we charge for the mint? And we were able to as proof holders, to provide input into all of this. And then at the end, they obviously had to make decisions around how to price it, how to do certain things. But what I liked is they explained to us why they made these decisions. So it wasn't just that they asked us all for input and then decided something, but they actually went out and made a conscious effort to take time to explain to us why they decided about certain things. And I personally really like that, because I feel this is a community, this is a team who's taking their early supporters, their first Genesis members, really serious, right? And values our input. What's also good that they do very regularly town halls, updates. It's always done on Twitter Spaces, but there's always a video that you can watch afterwards. So it's very easy to stay up to date with the project. And they also often share things that are in progress. They say, oh, we're thinking about doing it this and this way. Or we have launched something and the community really didn't like it, so we're taking it back. So, and I think basically for me, this is the next stage of NFTs, that basically teams become more professional. Doesn't mean that they have to necessarily now be out there with their real names, but I do think that the expectation that teams update their community, take their community feedback seriously, hold regular updates is the next stage of NFTs. And I believe that after Kevin Rose now went into the space, we will see a lot more not professional, but people that have a big track record, have started successful companies, come into the space and found something there. Because before, of course, it was mostly anon, so you didn't know who the people were. So I think they really kicked off a trend when it comes to transparency and team quality. And then number 5, unfortunately, it takes an incredible amount of work to build a successful collectors group. And I think a lot of people underestimate that, and quite often I'm just amazed how much work they actually put into this. So I give you a few examples now. So one is the networking for the allow list opportunities, right? Especially at the beginning, when Proof wasn't Proof what it is today, and it wasn't famous at all, it wasn't necessarily that all of the good drops would come to us and offer us allow list spots, but just by themselves. Nowadays that happens, but at the beginning it didn't happen. So the team actually had to go out, find the artists, talk to them, and arrange that for the community. And that was a lot of work. And now they actually hired one person full time. So now they have raised some money. They have just made a lot of money with the Moonbirds. So they have also the resources now, but they hired a person full time just to find the right partnerships and bring the right partnerships to the attention of the Proof members. Then they're launching a lot of new interesting opportunities, which I'm going to go into. And also staying relevant is a lot of work, so it's not just that you launch a collectors group and that's it, right? You have to stay relevant, get into, NFTs are ever evolving, right? Like now there's the new soulbound NFTs, music NFTs, so there's so many new areas coming up, and I think, you want to stay relevant and think of all of these opportunities when you present them to your members. So one example that they did very early on, Grails was one of the first projects from Proof. And what they did is they went to 20 artists. Some were famous and some were not. And these 20 artists created 20 pieces of work. And then the Proof collective members were able to choose one of the 20 NFTs. But it was, basically you could see the NFT, you could see the artwork, but you did not know when you chose who the artist was. So what then obviously happened was there was a huge guessing game, and the whole collective went on for like 2-3 weeks to find out who the artist behind potential works could potentially be. Because we knew there were literally some, like for example, Tyler Hobbs was one of the artists. So we knew there would be some of the most famous and the most successful NFT artists were participating, but we didn't know who was the artwork. And with the most famous artists participating, you also know these NFTs will go for a lot of value. And it did, in fact, I think the most valuable Grail went for 120 ETH. So, and that was just given as a gift to Proof members. So, a huge guessing game ensued, and me personally, you know, I chose my NFT on the second day when Grails got live, because I was like, I just can't spend my whole 2 weeks just guessing, and I'm just going to choose an NFT that I like. And I chose a monster by Lucretia, which I then sold for 7 ETH, so it's also not too bad. But others really, there were like Tim Ferriss did his first NFT in this drop, Gary Vee was in there, Alexis Ohanian, and the most, actually the funniest was Tyler Hobbs. He created just a wall, and it literally looked like a picture of a wall. It looked, to be honest, it looked very boring. That's why I didn't choose it, but it ended up to be the most valuable one of all of them, which always shows, you know, in art, you know, you never know. You can never know what is what. But putting that together was a lot of work, finding the artists, getting them to sponsor pictures, but it was the project that put Proof on the map. It was something very innovative, something that the whole industry noticed. So if you build a collectors group and you really want to brand it and become well known, then you have to do something innovative like this yourself. Then the Moonbirds, everybody knows the Moonbirds, I think. And partly why Moonbirds was so successful was on the back of the success of Proof. Because then, by that time, people had heard, oh, there's this artist community with lots of serious collectors. And I think that was why it became such a hype, because people were so in love with this, you know, team, with this good communication, with this good execution that were well proven and had already proven that they can do it with Proof. And that's why Moonbirds was so successful. What I also like is they have really, like, they don't just copy what Yuga Lab is doing or what others are doing. They've really thought about their own way forward to bring some more innovative things into it, like nesting, like additional real-life events, things like that nobody, frankly, has done, and that is their own path, and is why I think people really like holding on to Moonbirds. That's why the prices of the Moonbirds are incredibly consistent, if you think about it, because, it just makes a lot of people are bullish on them and want to keep, me as well. Want to hold, I mean. And then just last weekend, they dropped Oddities. Nobody knows what the Oddities are, but every Moonbird holder receives an Oddity. They will be revealed in July, so we will know more then. But there was also, again, you know, they had actually communicated they wouldn't drop anything for a while, and then they just did it, surprising everybody in a positive way. And I think, again, you know, they're just trying to add value to the community in every sense, and they're executing at such a fast speed, providing value. So that is, very, very impressive, I believe. So we're already coming to the takeaways. If you are prepared to put in the work and you see to really build a big collectors group that is reputable, it takes a lot of work. If you are prepared to put in the work, then a collectors group is probably the best way to find great opportunities, to find friends, to find like-minded people, and also to find great investment opportunities, frankly. If you don't have too much time, then it's probably better to find an existing community. There are many, many communities that are way less expensive than Proof, that are also good. It's also probably a good way to gain experience. And for example, one recommendation that another group I'm in is called POP by Crypto Packaged Goods. They are, I think, currently at below 2 ETH, that what the NFT is worth. So it's much more affordable, and they're also delivering good value. It's a very solid group. Are we getting robbed or what's happening here? Okay, almost finished. Yeah, and if you have any questions, I'll be outside afterwards and happy to chat to you. Thank you very much.